Drunk driving is actually a good thing, according to this guy. I know being drunk is worse for most people, but for me being a little tipsy actually helps me drive better. I'm calmer and quicker to react because I'm thinking about what I'm doing less. You're gonna kill someone. Guys, you don't understand, it's the drunk crashers that do all the damage. Drunk drivers didn't do anything wrong at all. I used to be the naive dude in his early 20s who'd think this way till I got a DUI. It ain't worth it, even driving tipsy. Such are the desperate rationalizations of an addict. I guarantee if you replaced a little tipsy with a little high, you would have a surprising number of people agreeing. Quicker reaction time? Just do meth like I do when driving. You'll smell the other cars before you hear them. I think about what I'm doing less. That's the problem, honey. There is no way this is just the confidence that come with a few drinks. No bad could ever come from this. Tell me you're an alcoholic without telling me you're an alcoholic. Literally every person that drives drunk thinks this same exact thing. Your reactions while drunk driving are better until they're not, and most of you assholes will sadly learn it the hard way. Yeah, well, the teenage drunk driver who hit my family's minivan head on when I was 15 and threw me through the car window and almost killed me, and my whole family thought the same. Drunk driving is really fun actually and keeps me focused. It's the drunk crashers that ruin it for everyone else. If you can't drive normally sober, why do you drive? This is how every teenager justified driving drunk. This is how I justified driving drunk. You sir, like me, are a. Everyone who does this or uses their phone while driving thinks they are the exception. They drive better. Or they can multitask better than everyone else. It's delusional thinking to rationalize putting everyone else in danger so they can continue doing the thing they want to. I've heard so many stoners make this argument. Whenever I'm driving drunk, I make sure to go as fast as I can so that I'm a danger on the road for less time. It's simple science, folks. Blatant boozy phobia. Hopefully you can wake up and see this as a big sober conspiracy someday. That person is an idiot. The lady that killed my uncle was high and drunk and stole a car, crashed into my uncle, died on the way to the hospital, and my uncle died on impact. He was 23, had a whole life ahead of him. Unfortunately, this can be true for heavy alcoholics. Back when I was first trying to quit drinking, I would shake uncontrollably. Sometimes my hands would go numb and my thumbs would kind of force themselves towards my palms and I couldn't move them voluntarily. I also drove a stick shift, so my shaking legs made it difficult to shift, especially when trying to start from stationary. Hills were especially treacherous. This also made me incredibly nervous to drive in this situation, which amplified the issues. Sure, you might say I should just have not driven, but I had to for my job and certainly would have lost my apartment if I wasn't working. Therefore, a drink or two, to get back to what was even for me at the time, was basically required if I wanted to drive. I'd like to think I was an unusual case, but I reckon there are more who are like I used to be out there than we imagine. This is Reddit. People are seeing this as more than just a trolling joke. God's drunkest warriors belong behind the wheel. It's drunk crashers that make all drunk drivers look bad. I know drunk driving is bad, so I go extra fast on the way home from the bar. Spending less time on the road is being safety conscious. Ultra instinct driving. Say you're an addict without saying you're an addict. I'm a better pool player about 1.5 drinks in. Because I don't overthink and take more risky shots. Exactly things you should not be doing while driving. Tell me you have your lawyer on speed dial, without telling me you have your lawyer on speed dial. So I suppose he drives like Lewis Hamilton when he's sleeping. I attended a state police conducted test where a driver went through a maze sober and then with one drink and so on. Their best performance was with one drink. Because of DWI laws, getting behind the wheel while a little tipsy might cause a person to drive slower or more cautiously than they normally would. Seeing how the results of a traffic stop could come back on them with much greater consequence. Particularly if they are inclined to drive like an asshole while sober. Is it awful? Yes, but I remember my uncle driving drunk and he was actually better at it. I remember my dad and other uncles making fun of it cause it was the only way he could parallel park. Granted, this was in the late 80s when drunk driving awareness wasn't much and people did it as a normal practice. Okay, now give me his username. Just ask for a driving wine at the liquor store. We shouldn't be censoring such trash human beings like this. What's the username? I think I saw some similar advice in the seminal movie about responsible living. Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. If he thinks just a little less, he will stop breathing. Nah, driving cautiously is a good thing. People who don't drive cautiously will see more of a difference from doing that than they will 2 beers, sure. But it ain't the alcohol. This is straight out of a Reno 911 episode. Why cover his name? That's how it is the first time you do it. Then you start getting bolder the more you drunk drive. Speaking from experience, I was lucky enough to have gotten pulled over a few days ago. I'm quitting alcohol altogether. I've tried moderation and I cannot do that. I feel a great shame for what I've done, and who I've become in the past 2 years. Sometimes I think it's a marvel how humanity has managed not to wipe itself out by now, what with all the room temperature IQ dipshits running around. I'm thinking about what I'm doing less. Thinks he reacts faster and better. Problem with alcohol is it makes you believe this. I don't look where I'm driving because it allows me to hear the thoughts on where and when to turn, making me a better driver. Preferably himself and a tree and no one else. Drunk driving is no joke. I had neck surgery as a result of someone plowing into the back of me. Drunk drivers who cause any kind of injury, minor or major, to another person deserve very stiff minimum penalties. My man blacked out his own name. I really don't understand how someone can justify this to themselves. Like there's no way you react faster and more efficiently after drinking. Alcohol slows you down no matter how good you think you are. This guy's going to hurt somebody and say that it wasn't his fault. Personal fable, when you think the rules of the universe applies to everyone else but you. Because you're special like that. Why censor his username? Only allowed exception, Freakonomics. Was that your reply? You feel quicker because your brain slows down more than your autonomic nervous system. Everyone thinks they're fine when a little tipsy. This dude is probably a full-on alcoholic. And in that case it may be true. While on withdrawal they probably drive worse than after drinking a small amount. My reaction while playing video games drunk is better too, but fuck no, I would never in my life take that to the streets. What do you guys think about driving and weed? Reminds me of Reno 911. Most accidents happen to sober people, and I want to add, he should drive insanely fast because then he only needs half the time, lowering the statistic probability of an accident on the street by 50%. Quicker to react because I'm thinking about what I'm doing less. You what, mate? He's such a piece of dirty human. I always take a couple Rohypnol tablets before I drive, it makes me drive better. Slippery slope. You are never the same amount of drunk. One day you could be tired and drunk. One day you'll be overconfident. Used to do it a lot to avoid paying taxis, but after a near miss after an all-nighter I learned my lesson. If you need to be drunk to drive, you shouldn't be driving. In some sports it's considered a performance-enhancing drug. Sounds like self-medicated ADHD. Still stupid. This is actually a big issue on TikTok. I see comments about drunk driving all the time, and the hundreds of comments agreeing with it. Yes. That is actually true. Alcohol can give you needed esteem and calmness. But don't use that to be a better driver. I've heard this a lot when talking to people about marijuana legalization. I'm 100% for it, just treat it like alcohol. But I've had people try to say that exact same shit and nah, IDGAF if you think you drive better high. Just don't do it. I think I dance better when I'm drunk, but that doesn't mean I'm going to enter a dancing competition. Somebody bet this guy $1,000 that alcohol doesn't make his reaction times faster. It's fairly easy to measure with probably any number of phone apps. Get this guy behind the steering wheel. Sigma male. Me being dizzy makes me see better, that's not how that works. Talk to me when you accept the fact that 75% of crashes are caused by sober drivers. Probably has Asperger's disease. Drunk drivers are only responsible for like 13% of car crashes. It's the sober people who do the most crashing. Wake up, sheeple, big sobriety has got you in their pocket.